to facilitate, guide, inspire, and equip you to have a better life.
And a strong family foundation begins with each of us trying to become better individuals. Let's unite
For a stronger Bahamas.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, the heartbeat of the nation, leading Bahamians from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
At Harold One, I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us. We apologize for the late start. As you can imagine, we are following a late-breaking story that tonight leaves us at a crossroad. The unfortunate and horrific discovery of a young child who today was one of several marker alerts issued after being missing for several days. It is the worst possible outcome to this story, parents' worst nightmare. And tonight, if you are a Bahamian, no doubt you should be disturbed. In fact, you should be troubled. You should be angry, to say the least. Where is the protection and care for our children? How was this able to happen? And the perpetrator must be brought to swift justice. Now, if you're just following this story and don't know what happened in our newscast tonight, our Altaviz Munnings has been at the scene pretty much all evening, and she tells us the latest from the scene on what happened. Altaviz.
Good evening, Clint. I'm right now located on an active crime scene on Faith Avenue South, not too far from the Anatole Rogers Senior High School. And Clint, I can tell you, it's really not looking good. Earlier, police had informed the media that they found the body of a young female child. Earlier this afternoon, police had issued a missing all points bulletin for 12-year-old Adriel Moxie. Police Commissioner Clint Fernando, who's here on the scene, when he spoke with reporters, couldn't confirm whether or not this is the body of Adriel Moxie. But I can tell you, Clint, that he was extremely emotional when he spoke with reporters, providing first the initial details of the investigation. Here's what the commissioner said.
Earlier in the evening, based on investigation from the Carmichael Road Police Station, reference to a missing young girl that was reported there at the division on Tuesday morning. As a result of information received by the investigators, it led them to this area here, just off Faith Avenue South. And as you can see, this is a track road just off Faith Avenue. Officers came, a team of officers came and made a search of this general area. To my left, this is another track road just off of this main road here. They were assisted by our drone unit. We had 3 drones in the entire area, along with 2 K9 units and a number of officers. And they discovered a young girl who was lifeless, lying on her back with just a top on. On further examination of the body, it was discovered that a piece of cloth was tightly tied around the neck.
Now, Clint, I asked the commissioner whether or not the police is aware of who they are looking for, the suspect involved in this matter. The commissioner did confirm that the young lady frequents this area because she attends the Anatole Rogers Senior High School, and she lives not too far from this area. In fact, she frequents this area literally every day. So the commissioner says they know they're looking for, and he's going to make sure there's no stone unturned to locate that suspect as soon as possible.
EMS came and confirmed that the young child was dead. We believe, based on description, that this is the same young girl who was reported missing at the Carmichael Road station.
As I mentioned, Clint, the commissioner, extremely emotional on the scene, and he's offering this advice to parents to keep their child safe. As you know, it's the mandate of the Royal Bahamas Police Force to maintain law and order across the country. And these type of situations really the commissioner makes sure that they go all out to find every detail and capture the person responsible. Here's the advice he had for parents. Something like this from happening to them.
Well, we continue to say to parents, especially young kids, they're young kids, just about 10, 12-year-old. If they're going to school or wherever, you should know at all times where they are. At least some adult should be responsible enough to take care of them or to watch their whereabouts or their movements. Even if we know that the school is right out there that she attend. But just the area alone, you will see the darkness here. There's no lighting. And this is off the street. I'm talking about maybe a half mile off the street. But parents have to pay more attention to their young one, of our little darlings. This is one of our little darlings who has not lived yet. That individual who is responsible should not spend another hour out there. I have directed an operation team along with the investigators to team up. We have been talking to a few persons within the general area who is offering some information. And I want us to move quickly to follow that information. And we believe that we're on the right track based on the information that we are receiving at this time.
So, Clint, this is a very active investigation going on here off Faith Avenue South. A team, as the commissioner mentioned, will be assigned specifically to this case, and this is a story that we will continue to follow. Reporting live from Faith Avenue South, not too far from Bonefish Pond, I'm Altaviz Munnings. Back to you, Clint.
Thank you. And of course, Altaviz would have the latest at 11 o'clock tonight on that story. Well, Prime Minister Davis, who is in Guyana, where he'll join other CARICOM heads attending a symposium on crime and violence in the Caribbean, has released a statement noting that he shares with his fellow Bahamians the enormous grief and anger about the tragic death of a school child. The Prime Minister adding that we are united in our prayers to God that he may strengthen the victim's family and loved ones so that they may endure their heartbreak. The statement concluding with a sentiment the Prime Minister shared with the Police Commissioner, Clayton Fernandez, and that's that we are going to turn the country upside down to find the criminal who did this and bring him to justice. We're also hearing tonight from Education Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin. And of course, she is, as you can imagine, distraught as well. In a brief release tonight says today's news of the tragic death of a child is every parent's nightmare. Now, she assured that education officials send their prayers to the child's family, school, and classmates and country at large. Now, the tragedy, Minister Hannah Martin added, is an outrage of the worst kind. And of course, we know we'll expect to hear more from her regarding this. We can also tell you tonight of another missing child, a Marcos alert issued for a 16-year-old boy, as well as 10-year-old Carmichael resident Evan Olisma. Now, a student of Gerald Cash Primary he is. According to police, the child, dark-skinned and slim, was reportedly last scene at Flamingo Gardens School. Of course, we'll have a photo of him and the latest on him on our website and as well in the 11 o'clock news tonight. I can also tell you that Police Commissioner Clayton Fernando has also just updated the process regarding the Marco's alert. And he has said, while the law requires a Marco alert to be issued within 24 hours of a missing persons report, the Commissioner of Police has given instructions that an alert be given immediately after the report is made. So here's an amendment that's going to be happening going forward. Commissioner of Police saying the law requires a Marco's alert to be issued within 24 hours of a missing person. However, in his powers as Commissioner of Police, he's given instructions that an alert be given immediately after the report is made. Joining me live is Ms. Cheryl Walking, founder of Marriage, Children, Family Alliance Movement, CFAM. And of course, to talk about this tragedy. Good evening, and thank you for responding to us at the very last minute to come here to talk about this. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
This is heart-wrenching.
It certainly is, Clint. My heart breaks, you know, not only for the family, but for our country. Because, you know, these instances are happening much too often in terms of you know, children going missing, children running away, you know, domestic violence, you know, abuse of children, neglect of children. And it's so interesting that today is International Day of Children.
Wow.
And I know that I had reached out to you, you know, to express my desire to be able to speak with you, because even before this news came out, I was concerned about the level of you know, the trauma that our children are going through in this. That, I mean, this is the pinnacle of it, but there are so many different levels of trauma that our children are going through based on the degradation of families. You know, families are just, you know, disintegrating the structure, and based on our family's responsibility.
That's it.
You know, it's the family's responsibility to protect, you know, the children. It's the family's responsibility to nurture and provide and to give security, and our children are very much lacking that. And so our organization is about advocating for the substantial creation, provision, nurture, and protection of marriages, children, and family. And they're all connected, Clint, because when we speak about children, we see the number of children that are being born to single parents.
Yeah.
Right there is the key, okay? Our children are intended. Our children are not ours. Our children, we share them with God, if we want to, you know, even turn it, look at the spiritual end of it, and we are squandering that divine privilege that we have to honor and to protect our children. And so it's connected: marriage, children, family. But we're seeing that our families are being started, single parents, and that is really where the breakdown starts.
We have to return to the values of family.
We most definitely have. There's no other way. There's no other way that we're going to have the full protection. There's no other way that our nation is going to be restored from all of these calamities unless we do.
This is obviously so sad, and I always talk about what you hear police talk about, some of the circumstances surrounding this, a dark road, a long road to the child's home, and the question surrounds why the child, if the child was by themselves, why? Why they walk in? And we see some of our kids, I know, because of circumstances, kids have to walk to school, but young kids should never be walking alone.
No.
No matter how drastic the circumstances is.
The situation is, Clint, is the fact that, you know, parents are not available, you know. Children are taking care of themselves. And so because that structure is not in place, and the mother is working probably multiple jobs, the father is unfortunately sometimes nowhere to be found, the child is on their own. And I have experienced this. I not only speak about families on a whole, I've experienced this within my own family, family circles. And it's because we don't have that structure and that support within the family. And so it's a matter of, in some cases, going to work to try to make the dollar, or in a similar case, or going to the school and talking to the principal about your child who isn't going to school.
Well, we're definitely going to have you back to talk about this, because there's so much more we want to talk about it.
Sure.
But I wanted to make sure your voice was heard tonight.
Thank you.
Behind this tragedy.
Yes.
And thank you for accommodating us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, we have an activity that's going on Saturday, and it's actually a family love and Thanksgiving rally that's happening on Aaron Bailey Park, and we're inviting
What time?
It will be at 2 p.m. on Saturday, and it's in observation of International Children's Day. We're celebrating Women's Week. We're celebrating a lot of things. Men's Day was yesterday, but all of it is surrounded by family.
This is a good time to come out and take a stand for our children.
Yes, for sure. And we want you to come out and really just say why you're thankful for family, because I think people are forgetting the value and the power of family, and making sure that their structures are strong, and if they're not, that they can reach out to others to support them as they protect their children.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Stay with us. When we come back, my guest tonight is the leader of the Coalition of Independence, Lincoln Bain. He's here. No doubt I'm sure he wants to have his voice heard about this and other issues in our country. We have a candid discussion with him up next. You're watching The Rundown. We're back after this.
Chapter One Bookstore at University of the Bahamas believes in the power of words. They have your next great adventure, or that affordable textbook you need. You can go anywhere with a good book. To the library, to have coffee in a cafe, to the pool, to a cozy chair at home. And when you finish your book, you can browse for more good books from Chapter One. Chapter One Bookstore, open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., or shop online all day, every day at chapteronebooks.store.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
Our company offers a simple philosophy, open hands. What do open hands mean? If you keep your hands closed, nothing comes in, nothing goes out. If you keep your hands open, a lot of things comes in, a lot of things goes out. We cannot expect to be a successful company without blessing our community and blessing our country.
My good friend and valued client, Dominic Stirrup, approached me following a meeting we had and told me of the idea that he had of feeding 10,000 Bahamians on Thanksgiving.
There was a lot of details to put together, had to figure out how to get it done. But at the end, it was worth it. At the end, it gave me a heart of gratitude to know that our company is reaching out to so many persons.
We invite you on a journey to witness an extraordinary chapter in the story of the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, a tale of compassion, unity, and the true spirit of Thanksgiving.
Welcome back to The Rundown. Well, since we've been on the air, we've spoken with the Prime Minister, the leader of the Progressive Party. We've spoken to his deputy, the Honorable Chester Cooper. We've spoken to the leader of the Opposition Free National Movement, Michael Pintard, to garner feedback on politics, what's happening in the country. Tonight, joining us tonight is the leader of the Coalition of Independents, Lincoln Bain, to really give his take on what his party is doing and their preparation for the next general election, and also speak to some of the national issues that we are facing in our country. Mr. Bain, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Clint. Thank you for having me here.
It is our pleasure. I don't need to substantiate why you are here, but I think it's important for people to understand that if we are in a free and democratic society, we have to understand how it works in the media. Yeah. Your party or your organization, however you want to word it, at the last general elections proved to be a force to reckon with. A matter of fact, outpacing who we consider to be the third party, which was the Democratic National Alliance. That movement is no longer around, to my knowledge, and that puts your organization, well, even if they were around, it puts you in the third spot position because you garnered the third largest amount of votes. And that means that you always have a place here at the Broadcasting Corporation because Bahamian people obviously subscribe to you and listen to you, and our job is to be able to give you the space as well. And so that's based on the premises as to why we're here. So don't come for me. This is what we do here.
Thank you.
This is a people station, and we allow the people to have their voice. I want to start, first of all, if you wish, right where we are at with this story tonight. Yeah. Because this is a tragedy. You're a father. And we understand, as parents, how much we care for our children and our job as fathers to protect them. Yeah. When you see this happening in our country, what do you say to it?
Clint, first, I would say that November 28th is a significant day for me. It was the day in 1995 that I joined the police force, and it was also the day in 2005 that I left the police force. And so this is a significant day for me, and to be here on such a day when such a tragedy happens, it touches my heart. Yeah. I have to say, Clint, I cannot mince words. We are failing. We are failing our nation as it relates to crime. I want to say that the leadership of the police force is failing. I cannot mince words. They are failing. And so I'm going to tell them this so that they can do what they have to do better, because they have to do something. The government is failing on this. Our judicial system is failing on this, and we have to get it together. Every killer wants to live. No killer wants to die. And so one of the major problems that we're having is that the punishment does not fit the crime. We are not executing killers anymore, even though it is on our books. And so when we, as the government, break the law by not enforcing the law, we are failing. They're using the excuse of the Privy Council to say that the Privy Council put some specifications on it. All they said was the worst of the worst must be executed. And so what we must do is determine what is the worst of the worst. In fact, they told us what the worst of the worst is. We can put it into our laws so that we don't have that question again, and they can go back to executing killers.
So you don't believe their hands are tied? You don't believe when these appeals keep going and until it goes to Privy Council and the Privy Council sends it back saying we don't consider the worst of the worst, it ties the hands of the system?
The Privy Council, the Max Otito case, the Privy Council specifically said what the worst of the worst is. Someone who kills, but they're also doing it in the execution of another crime. So let's say you kidnap a girl and you rape her and then you kill her. That's the worst of the worst, in my opinion. Right. All right? And so all we had to do, though, was codify it in our laws so that you're not depending on the common law of the Privy Council's decision. We can codify in our law tomorrow in the House of Assembly, instead of the arguments they're doing back and forth. They can go and say the worst of the worst is this. And then the Privy Council's hands are tied because they can only deal with the law. Okay? And as long as it's within the Constitution, it is done. And so there are many countries around the world that execute killers, including the United States of America. We can do it. Because there is no accountability and there's no real punishment, it's going to keep happening. These fellas are willing to go to jail, do a couple of weeks, and then get bail and continue.
I wanted to ask that because we're trying to, everybody, Bahamians are trying to figure out how do we get around this issue of crime. Do you believe that crime is constant because there is no fear of consequences?
It's a myriad of issues. One of the major reasons is crime is very related to poverty, all right? And we need to empower our Bahamian people. And when people are suffering, they're going to do what they have to do to survive. And so that's one of the major issues that we have. Then when there is a little enforcement, not just on the part of the police, because the police are arresting people, but when they go to court and they can get bail easily, etc., and we've not found a solution to this, that's where a part of the problem comes in. There are a lot of solutions that we can bring to the table to avoid this. Criminals want to get away. Not only do killers want to live, but criminals want to get away. So if we put certain things in place, our team has met with the police commissioner and gave him advice on how they can properly police our society. He said they were very good ideas, but we didn't see him put them into play. For example, many of our communities are planned communities, not organic communities like Baintown. Planned communities like South Beach, like Elizabeth Estate. They have one way in and one way out. If you police them properly, one police officer in a car, and you have a police at the back entrance and the front entrance and a police roaming on the inside, because now you have more police officers available with one in a car, now the criminal is difficult for them to get away when you add CCTV along with it. Once something happens, a gunshot is fired, you know where it is because of the shot spotter, you can police better. We need to have a forensic lab so that we can have proper investigations, because personally, I don't want to execute persons based on gossip. I want us to have a proper forensic lab where we can have proper investigations, not who would want to see him dead, who did he have an argument with recently, what was he wearing. We need proper solutions to this crime, and we can solve this crime issue. They're saying that the courts are backlogged. The Prime Minister said it'll be 10 years. Then all we have to do, we have over 2,000 lawyers, don't we, Clint?
Yeah.
All we have to do is take these trained lawyers and create more courts. This is a national security issue. We are a tourist nation. Spend the money, create more courts, or bring persons in from other parts of the Caribbean, bring them to the Bahamas, and open up more courts. Court that focuses on the backlog. Give one judge, one magistrate, you're going to deal with the year 2000. You're going to deal with 2001. You're going to, and clear the backlog. There are simple solutions, but we are just failing at this time.
We look at what's happening in our country, and I think I want to go to this particular point because it is something that is used often by you and your team, that is social media. Mm-hmm. And there is a concern that the rhetoric on social media is becoming so toxic that we on one hand are trying to find solutions to crime and peace, mm-hmm. but on the one hand we are creating disturbances with our rhetoric. And I'll give you a good example, and since he wants me to obviously call his name, I will, right? There's a gentleman on the feed tonight by the name of Craig Curry, right? And I often allow people to express their views and say what they want to say. But Craig Curry is on the feed tonight, and I don't normally give people attention who are attention seekers, but I want to make my point, and this was a perfect point, who says that Clint, if you will sell something to that effect, and if you do what you do to the Bahamian people again, they will come for you. I will come for you. Now, to me, that's an open threat online that you're telling me you're coming for me, Craig. Now, the police are listening, so I'll leave it to them to go and do what they need to do. But this is the kind of rhetoric mm-hmm. that I'm talking about, that we can all agree, we can all disagree, mm-hmm. we can all have our views, we can all have our positions. But when we become toxic and go to social media and verbally issue threats or verbally lambaste people, how do we then turn around and talk about peace? How do we turn around and talk about our systems aren't working? You're contributing to the breakdown of the system. Mm-hmm. and I believe Bahamians have abused social media because we believe it's a coward move that we can hide behind a profile, make open-ended threats to people and not have consequences about it. I believe we have to be mature about what it is that we do. And I want you to speak to that because you have a very strong and aggressive social media platform. And I believe that we who are in the public light have to be the first ones to decry foolishness. Mm-hmm.
I fully agree. I think what you're hearing, though, is the voice of a people who are being abused, not just people who are abusing social media. Mm-hmm. When the people get angry, they start to lash out. whether it's your children, your wife, your spouse, people start to lash out when they get
But there has to be responsibility.
Yes, there must be.
Because if I get angry, I don't go and kill somebody.
Yeah, I'll say that. Just let me complete the full thing. And so, no, you don't go and kill somebody, except in the Bahamas where you won't get the proper punishment for it. But people are angry. And I hear some people say, Lincoln, a lot of your supporters are very angry on social media. And what I have to say to them is that those are Bahamians. Those are not necessarily my supporters. I don't know them. They're not members of my organization. They're like, you got to talk to your people. I'm like, talk to them. These are adults with freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Clint, we are public figures. You are a legend in broadcasting now. You've shown yourself on a different light. You've gone to 2 major stations now and just revolutionized them. So you're a legend in your own right, but you're a public figure. I wake up every day to people on social media telling lies on me. They make up stories. He did this at the church. He did that. He did that. They make up full lies. And people will ask them, okay, prove it. Or what did he do? And then they go quiet. But I have to take that. I believe in freedom of speech so much that I don't sue them. All right? Because I believe that people should have their voice. I get cussed out from PLPs, from F&Ms, but you have to be mature. And so you are lying, so you can take that.
I know that
don't move you. I know you long time.
They don't.
I'm saying this for the public. But persons like that, those are persons, regular Bahamians who are angry. Now, what the government can do to deal with a lot of this is they can give us our Freedom of Information Act. Whenever you have secrecy, people are going to make assumptions. They're going to say things, and sometimes they're not going to say it properly. They're not going to word it properly, where they should say allegedly, reportedly. We're professionals. We're going to say that. Some Bahamians are just going to say, boy, I hear this, or this went down. And so the government is at fault. And so because a lot of people have lost trust for the media, Clint, a lot of people have. They've lost trust for the media. I've been a victim of some media stories that were not true. All right, but I don't go and complain. I don't row about it. I just move on. But there are some people watching that, and they're like, "Wow, they're painting the COI as rowdy when they went to the Parliament to just present some bills. The police attacked Lincoln, and then the people got rowdy because he attacked Lincoln, but the news only showed the people getting rowdy. They didn't show the full story. But you will have 50,000 people watch the full thing on social media
and see some completely different.
And they saw something completely different than what the media covered. So now people are not trusting the media, and that's going to happen, Clint. And so you have to.
No, I fully stand by that. Because one of the things I discussed just recently to someone was, I believe, I will say this publicly, that the media in this country has fallen down on its job. What I mean by that is we no longer tell the story. We give our view of the story, and that's not journalism. Journalism is not, okay, this is my view of what happened. Journalism is, let me hear the facts, let me hear the information, let me do my research, and if it's factual, I report it. If it's not, I rebut it. That's what media is, but we don't do that today. There are agendas, and sadly, because there are agendas, the reports are not factual, and that is one of the reasons why I was adamant about coming back to the Broadcasting Corporation to allow Zaninist to have his free wings to do what it was intended.
And I will say to persons out there that whenever we are going somewhere and that you know about it, you send a team out there to cover it.
That is what we do. And that is how you get news. We're not here to make decisions for people. We're here to give people the information and allow them to make their own decisions and their own choices. That's what media should do. But I don't want to spend time talking about us. I want people to get to know Lincoln Bain. Tell us about you and why it is that you accepted this call. Because, and I say that because you didn't always start out doing this. You and I know each other for a very long time. For whether it's from the music world, people don't recognize he was one of the ones from Vision who sang the new Brand New World that Miles Monroe had recorded. And people don't recognize that's you singing bass in a brand new world. And then people will not recognize that one of the first, I call it reality shows we ever had, was Controversy TV. And that was you and a gentleman who works here. Y'all give me y'all guy Utah Taylor. It was y'all who were going everywhere, going on the beaches, and people park up and doing it. That was you. So I've been with you through various changes in life and stages of life, but never once did I see a political leader. What caused you to move into this vein? And I think, if I'm very careful, I remember when we got this fire to start a revolution back in the other place where I was. But I'll allow you to talk.
Yeah, and so I think it's natural progression. Even when I did my TV shows and my radio shows, I always fought for the people. They would not just see me on TV or on radio, they would always see me on the news because I was out there fighting for different causes. Every cause we won because we fought vigorously. And the powerful people in the country weren't used to someone fighting them like a Wolverine. They're used to us being afraid we're going to lose our job, can't pay your mortgage, that kind of stuff. They weren't used to what we were doing. And so it was natural progression. And so it got to a point where I decided that, you know, I wanted to be something more. I was a businessman, and that was what I did for a very long time. I was very good at it, and I loved it. But it was activism, fighting for people, the downtrodden, that always moved me. From I was in kindergarten, I was a bully killer, and so whenever, if you watch the battles I fight, it's against the powerful people. It's not against regular people. I'm not going to fight, you know, regular Bahamians fighting each other. You all go to court. Right. But when it's someone who feels they don't have a voice and they're fighting powerful persons, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to beat that big guy. And so that has always been me. It came to a point where even me got tired, weary of it, and I was leaving the country. I was going to go away. I had a business deal. I was gone. But some ladies came to me and they wanted to go into activism. And I was like, man, listen, Bahamians, okay, I'm gone. I'm going to do a website for you, and I'll teach you how to do research, and then I'm gone. And as I started to do the research, I started to research on our natural resources first, because that's what they were interested in. And I started coming across things, and it was blowing my mind, Clint. It was stuff that I'd never heard anyone say before, things that really amazed me, that we were actually wealthy, we were rich. And so I said, no, we're not just putting this on a website, we're going to do a YouTube and a video, and we're going to put this on YouTube. When we finished the video, I was like, no, this is too big for YouTube. I am calling Clint, and I'm going to let him see this. And I called you, and you said, okay, send it to me. And you called me almost immediately, and you said, I want this. Right. How many of these can you do? And I'm like, no, this is documentary. Like, no, we need more of this. I was like, okay, I'll do one a week. He's like, deal. And you believed in what you were seeing because the evidence was being presented in it. It wasn't just talk. Right. A lot of people before talked about the natural resources, but we presented actual evidence, signed documents, etc. And that changed the game. And as we showed this, you actually gave up your show, like you're doing now, and allowed us to play the documentary on there every week. And it got to the point where people started asking, you know, what are we going to do about this information we have? Right. And so we started to do protests during COVID, the lockdown. We weren't allowed to do protests, but we did it anyway. We tabled a bill in the House of Assembly. We filed complaints with the SEC, the FBI. We filed for commissions of inquiry, etc., based on what we were seeing. And it got to the point where we decided to have a big rally. And that morning of the rally, they came and locked me up on some trumped-up charges, some really fake charges. It was actually funny. Of course, they dropped it because it seemed like their only purpose was to stop the rally, but it made the rally bigger. And I came to the decision right then that they're not going to do what is right. Clint, they've been lying to us about the natural resources. There's a clip going around with you talking about it, saying you're rich, you've been robbed. And so you agree with the same thing I agree with. And I want you to talk about this more, because this can transform our nation. Yes. This is the key to all of the problems. Our prime minister is going around from place to place begging. You see, they're saying that the IMF is telling them, y'all are going to need more money. We need income tax. Right. We need to increase VAT. Y'all need more money. Y'all owe us. And so the prime minister is saying, no, we're not going to do what they say, but they always do what the IMF says. And you may not do it now, but after election, income tax. So we need change, but what we've been teaching the people and what you allowed to get out there, because you were the person who sparked this movement. You gave us the platform to be able to do this, and so I thank you for that. Sure. All right, and I think the people out there should thank you for it too. Some people are disappointed you're not still talking about it, but some people tell me I need to talk about it more. Right. Can you believe that? We all understand when we're in different roles, we do different things. Yes. It hasn't changed who I am. Yeah. My roles have changed. As a matter of fact, the reason why I got into working in government is because I, just like you, I was advocating
repeatedly for change. And then it hit me. Well, why not be the change?
Yes.
And so my fight still continues.
And that's
to
how
be
I
the
got
change.
here.
Exactly. And to be the change for people. And I'm never going to stop that. And people can tell you, even in my role now, it's still, people call me and say I need help. I try to help them in whatever way, because at the end of the day, regardless of what label you're under, it's about helping people in our country, right? Because our country needs to help. We're a young country, but if we don't do something about it, we won't have a country at the end of the day. So I stand, and I still completely agree with you in regard to that. And so I understand the fight. I understand the push. Sometimes I think for people it's hard to accept some of the radical people that may be associated with you. We see Maria all the time. You know, she may be with her phone somewhere. She was in Zedness and Freeport yesterday asking, who have the tape for the John Quayle Jones? And, you know, whatever it is. But that's what people do.
Right.
But underneath it, I believe there's a genuine desire, I would hope, to see a better country.
I want to say this, and the people around me, some people feel like, you know, the Bahamians that come out when we have a protest, and that's the people around me. I don't even know, like, half of those people, or not even a quarter. They are Bahamians who just come out to support the movement. But I want you to see the Bahamians around me. And I thank you for covering it, we released, a few months ago, 19 of our candidates. We just released another 2 candidates in Abaco. I want you to see the level of candidates that we're releasing. These are professionals. These are professionals who were never interested in politics. Never. We had persons like Dr. Veronica McGyver. She can't even believe that she is doing this. All right? She was never interested in it. But like you, she feels like we got to do something. She saw the evidence of the natural resources, and she believed that this is a way to empower our people. And she wants it to happen. You have people like William Knowles, you know, another well-known businessman, a CPA, and there's other CPAs and lawyers and doctors and accountants. These are professional people. These are not the old faces that you are used to. These are professionals, and when we start...
What is causing them to come forward?
Because they see the message. Most people who say that we're selling dreams or don't believe in what we're doing, they haven't actually watched or listened. Most people who watch and they see the message, they're coming forward and they believe in the change. Now, a lot of people are tired of the country failing. You can't go get educated, live in the States for a while you're in school, see how things just work, and then come back here and nothing works. Come on. I'm not downing anyone, but 50 years and not one hospital, man. 50 years and we're still talking about electricity and water. They're basic. 50 years, we're still talking about ambulances. We're bragging about paving roads. Like MPs want a credit for building a clinic. 50 years, maybe we got to stop settling. Or maybe that's why they call them settlements on the family islands, but we got to stop settling, Clint. All of our family islands are neglected. And so these professional people have come forward because another thing that a lot of them agree with, we have a principle called island states and city government. And we see the government now arguing a bill about local government, that they're going to change something. Nothing is changing in that bill, all right? They have the ability to raise some money by charging you for parks or something, but that's negligible. We believe that the money made on an island should stay on that island, Clint. Should stay there. Abaco, Grand Bahama, Andres, etc., we believe that their GDP could compete with actual nations like Jamaica, Barbados, etc., and we will be 24 nations in one, based on the plans that we're putting together. If they could keep their money, the airport alone at Abaco makes $60 million a year. That airport, the bathroom is barely working, the AC is not working, they don't have a radar. $60 million that they send to Nassau. This is what we want to change. We want the money that is made there stay there, and we have a proper city council and a mayor and a governor for the entire island that determines what the money does. Because guess what? The family island people wouldn't have the needs. They wouldn't have to be calling the Nassau to turn on the airport light. Right. You know, right now, they did some demolitions in Abaco with the shanty towns. The men who did the demolitions, they're saying they were not paid. All right, that's an allegation, of course, but they're saying they were not paid. You're hearing this all over the place. But guess what? If they were responsible on their island, they don't have to come to Nassau and beg for no money. They would get paid.
Let me ask you, because one thing we're not short on in this country from anybody is ideas. Everybody has ideas of how they can transform, how they can take the Bahamas to a first world, how they can do all these things. And then the big thing that we always forget to ask people is, okay, you have the what, you have the when, you have the why. And then what about the how? How do you, because when you're getting government, I'll be the first to admit, you may have lofty ideas and plans. When you sit in that seat, you recognize the bureaucracy of the public service, you recognize the obstacles of legal challenges you face. It becomes, there's so many hindrances to implementing progress in this country that it almost takes far beyond a 5-year term to execute any meaningful change. So my question to you is, how? Because let's say you were elected in the next election. Let's say Lincoln Bain is elected and he becomes prime minister. The same people who in the public service are the same ones who are there now. The same people who the same taxpayers out there who complaining about wanting a better life are the same people. How do you go and transform from the idea of greatness to a realistic situation?
So one of the things I do, Clint, is I go live every Sunday at 5. A lot of people say they haven't heard from you. Where are you? Because they don't see me in the media as much. But I go live every Sunday at 5. And the reason I do that is I'm the only leader in the country that exposes themselves to the public so that you can question me on my ideas and I can tell you how we're going to do what it is that we're going to do. It's much easier than we think. They make everything seem difficult in this country for a reason. The only problem we have in this country is corruption. There's no other problem that we have. We don't have an immigration problem. We have a corruption problem. We don't have a crime problem. We have a corruption problem. All right? And if we get rid of the corruption, then we can live in this country. We can breathe. We can get things done. What's going to get it done is, see, we want to take power away from the politician and give it to the people. All right? A lot of politicians want power, and some people think we want power. We don't want power. We want to take the power away from the politicians who have been failing us for 50 years and give it to the people. And that's where island states and city government is going to take us. No one is going to serve you better than you. All right? So you're going to do it. That's how. You are going to make sure your roads are paved. That school is going to be fixed in your community because your child has to go there. You got to drive on that road. You're going to make sure that clinic is fixed because you got to go to that clinic. Or your mother, your grandma has to go to that clinic. And we believe that this is going to change the game. Every country in the world uses this principle, even the communist countries. Only us don't use it because the politicians want to keep things to themselves. The politicians only seem to do what they can benefit from. And that's the problem. There's a corrupt culture that we all know about, but we don't talk about. We keep it hush-hush. Contracts go to persons that are gonna give some money under the table back to whoever gave them the contract. And so because they're only focusing on the things they can make money from, there's so much ingenuity that we could have in this country that is not getting done. Because if they can't get something from it, it's not going to be done. Well, we're not tied to the PLP and F&M, and so all those corrupt ties are going to go away. Our electricity bill is high because Focal sells the oil to BPL. All right? Why are they going to make your fuel surcharge less and cut their money out? And Focal is owned by the PLP and F&M. Not literally the parties, but you know what I mean. All right? The interests. And so that's where your suffering comes in. These people are business partners. The F&M and PLP are one. They have been one. They've been working together. They've been pretending. I watched them debating in the House today, and Pintard got up and said, yes, we're going to vote for this bill. He's speaking for every F&M MP. We're voting for this bill. If you see problems with the bill, why are you voting for it? We are paying you to oppose. Or if you see a problem with that, you vote against that, and you expose what's wrong with that bill. It's not going to hurt, but it's almost like you're working together. And so the reason things don't get done is because they don't want it to get done. We can get things done. There are so many successful countries. We want our people to benefit from our natural resources because the real ideas in the country shouldn't come from government. The real ingenuity in any country doesn't come from government, it comes from people. You see what SpaceX is doing. You see what social media did. It didn't come from the government, it came from the people. But the problem in our country is we don't have access to capital. And so because we don't have access to capital, we can't live our dreams. We can't do that thing that we're gifted for. We can't take a risk because we just need a job. We got to pay a mortgage. You can't go open a business. You're going to fail. If you fail, you're going to be bankrupt. You may go to jail. And so what we want to do is have everyone benefit from their natural resources. Some people say, oh, you're selling dreams. The fact of the matter is the PLP came up with this $100,000 per household thing. All right, in 2014. They came up with this. They got it from the union leaders. Perry Christie grabbed onto it, formed a sovereign wealth fund and said, yes, we're going to do that. But they never did it. But people say, we say about this 100,000 thing because we want to win an election. We're selling dreams, but we didn't come up with that. All right, we followed it and we did an investigation and saw where we could improve on that. because we have myriad natural resources. All we have to do is let our people benefit, because if you could get some of yours, your wife gets some of it, you have a brother, your cousin, etc., everyone has a talented person in their family, Clint. A talented person. Where you could say, boy, this fella could cook so good, but we can't open a restaurant. But if you're benefiting from your natural resources, you can actually say, let's put together, and this talented person right here, this the computer one in our family, let's open a computer business. And that's what happened in countries that let their people benefit from their natural resources. The people didn't stop working. The people didn't get lazy. What they did was they started to do what they love, what they were born to do. Can you imagine a whole country with people doing what they love, not doing a job because they just needed a job?
Right.
And that is how we're going to change the game. So how it's going to be done? All of the ideas are out there in Bahamians. We are some talented, gifted people, you know. But the problem is we are depending on 14, 15 people in the cabinet to determine what happens for the whole 5 years. And that's why nothing gets done. Because 14, 15 people can't focus on 700 islands. They can't focus on every idea. So they get lazy and they wait for a foreigner to come and bring their ideas, and that's where the problem comes in. We are going to put the money in the people's hand from our natural resources, and we're going to transform this nation.
Is there, because I know you're out of time, is there a guide, a book, a vision for the COI on how they plan to transform the Bahamas?
Yes, we released our Vision 2025 before the last election. We are currently, with all of these talented candidates and other persons, we are working on Vision 2030. It is going to blow your mind. Not only are we going to show you what's going to be done, we're going to show you how. We are doing 100-day plans. So Island State City Government, we're showing you what is going to happen every day from day one, from the day after election. And at the hospital that we're going to build, we're showing you the breakdown of everything, real professional plans that you can see, and you can say, wow, this can be done. Real plans. And so there's Vision 2030, and we're going to break that out in stages because we can't do all in one time. But we're going to show you the plan for a new Bahamas. And we are going to lead this country with new people, new faces, not the old political faces. We're going to lead us into the new Bahamas that just works.
All right, we're out of time, 9 o'clock. You got robbed because of our breaking top story. So that means one thing, I have to have you back so you can get your full hour. Because I want to be able to talk in detail about the plan. Healthcare. I want to be able to talk about youth and development for youth and education. I want to give you the opportunity to speak to those things. So I'm definitely going to have you back. That's an open invitation, a public one, so you'll hold me accountable to it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's our rundown for tonight. For all of us here at JNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to stay tuned for the latest news and information in the Bahamas tonight at 11 with Royston Jones. He's here preparing for the 11 o'clock news, and we'll have the latest for you. Please have a safe and great night, everyone. Good night.
Just what is it that you want to do?